going on, everybody? It's your boy Adam. It is July 11th. Yesterday we did the first live stream, and I say we because people showed up. It was a fun 2 hours. It was great because I can talk all day long, as you know, because I put out these videos that are like 2 hours, and I don't really have to sit and think about what to talk about. Things just pop up. Sometimes I have an idea, sometimes I don't, but it was really cool. There were a few people from Pittsburgh. I miss my home. I feel, I grew up outside of Rochester, New York, in between Buffalo and Rochester, but closer to Rochester. I went to Pittsburgh in 1994 to go to art school, and I went back to Rochester for about a year after I graduated, but even though I was living in Rochester, I was still coming to Pittsburgh every weekend to see my daughter, like 4 times a month. And I was really just holding out until I could find a job in Pittsburgh and find the means to just stay in Pittsburgh permanently. The only reason I went back to Rochester is because I graduated from art school in December of '96, and I was home for Christmas break, and I knew things were going to get hectic because my daughter had just been born a few months ago, and so I was willing to take a job wherever I could get a job, and I got my foot in the door and got a job up in Rochester. I think it was like 2 weeks after I graduated from art school. So I ended up having to move up there. The jobs I was finding in Pittsburgh were crap compared to the job I found up there. And so I stayed up there for a little over a year, and then I moved back to Pittsburgh when I could find a better job. And so I stayed in Pittsburgh from, that was, 90, let's say, I don't even consider that, I don't even really feel like I moved away, because I was down there like every weekend. I would even bring my friends from Rochester down to Pittsburgh to party for the weekend, and because I wanted to see my daughter, but I would bring friends down, and, and I would also spend a day with her. Not all the time, but on occasion. So that was from 1994 until 2016 that I lived in Pittsburgh. And then I moved out to Mercer, which is about an hour north of Pittsburgh. But my life was still centered in Pittsburgh, and I still worked at a company in downtown Pittsburgh, and I still, I still had to go down there all the time. I just had a 70-mile drive to do it. But I loved living out in the country, and so I put up with the long drives, and I just got used to it. So I never really felt like I left Pittsburgh even then, because I was still down there all the time. I'm a little phlegmy today. Every time I get on the video chat, it's like there's a frog in my throat all of a sudden. Let me take a drink of this wonderful cold brew coffee. Oh yeah. I got a lot on my plate. Oh my goodness. Oh my God, I might have to stop and go hack up a lung and turn the video back on. I might be fine now. I don't know. The live stream was cool though. A lot of people from Pittsburgh were on that stream, and we were, one guy, I can't even remember who it was. We found out we went to the same Nine Inch Nails concert back in 1994. We were talking about that. The Beehive Theater, all kinds of cool stuff. A lot of memories came pouring back at me. I considered myself living in Pittsburgh from 96 till the FBI came and forced me to move. And I never really left. I was in the Butler County Jail for the next 14 months. But that was 2022, August. And then after I left the Butler County Jail, I went to this crazy ass jail in Youngstown. Then I went to the jail where P. Diddy is right now for about a month, I'd say, a little over a month. And then I was in Danbury, Connecticut at the Club Fed facility for 4 months, and then home. Home being Jamestown, New York. Knowing what I knew, I just feel like it was a setup to fail. The whole plan all along was to come home to Jamestown, start life over, but have a good reason to be in Jamestown. And in hindsight, it would have been better to just go to a halfway house in Pittsburgh and start getting on my feet there. I probably could have got a job rather quick. The things about Pittsburgh and being in a halfway house in Pittsburgh, which is right in downtown Pittsburgh, the buses go everywhere, the trains. So I would have had an entire county to search for a job, and I would have been able to get a bicycle together. I would have been able to take public transit, and I had multiple bicycles, 2 bicycles to pick from. So I would have had, hindsight's always 20/20, but I would have been able to, I probably would have been able to get on my feet and be close to my kids and kind of like at home. I can't believe, hold on, man, this is driving me insane. Oh, man. Figure out a place to, my desk is a little crowded today. This happens a lot when I get on YouTube and no other time. It's so weird. I'm not even going to edit it out. I don't want to, it's not even that important. Pittsburgh, it would have been, hindsight being 20/20, it would have been, I have connections there. It's kind of, it's a double-edged sword right now. Jamestown sucked. Other than there were good things that happened in Jamestown. There were really good things. I do have some good things to say about the place, but never want to. I will go back and visit. I have a couple of reasons to go back and visit, but in spite of everything that happened up there, I still have good connections in Jamestown. But Pittsburgh always felt like home. I never felt like I was at home when I lived in Pittsburgh. I felt like I was at home. When I would go back to where I grew up, I felt like an outcast or a stranger. Never felt like it. I never felt at home after art school. I feel like a stranger down here in Texas. It's a weird feeling down here. It's hard to make friends when you're over 40 compared to what it's like remember when you were a little kid and you see some other kids playing and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go play, Mom, bye. And you're like, hey, I'm playing with you guys now. All right, cool. We're friends now, right? Yeah, that's cool. All right, yeah, cool. How you doing? We're all friends now. That's how easy it is to make friends. When you're in college, it's almost the same. It's like, hey, want to go out to the club? Hey, here, have a beer, blah, blah, blah. It's that easy. You might make friends because you're in class together at college, or you work together, or you met at a party, or whatever the case, you friends of a friend. If you have a friend that has friends, then they become your friends, and you become their friends, and your friends become friends with them, and all that. And then like you get to be like 30 and everybody starts going their own way. People don't want to be friends with each other anymore. I had this one ex-girlfriend, we would have parties at our house, and this was the worst relationship I ever had in my life. And it was this was just another example of why. We would have parties at our house fairly often, and my friends would come over, her friends would come over, and we'd just part our separate ways. Me and all my friends would go up to the one room. Her and all her friends would be down here. My friends wouldn't even want to be friends with her friends and vice versa. Like, we all didn't like each other. It was weird. But, you know, as an example of that's when things like that start to happen. And then when you're in your 40s, forget it. If you don't have any friends by now, you're never going to get one. Like, people just don't want to hang out. Like, I'm like that too. You know, don't take it as in like I'm blaming other people. I just got done talking about in a previous video how I spent all that time surrounded by people I don't like, in jail, prison, after the fact, and then being surrounded by people at the homeless, you know, being surrounded by an ex who was treating me like absolute garbage, followed by being in a homeless shelter surrounded by people and having people up my ass all day long. And I didn't even dislike anybody at the homeless shelter. I never had any beef with anybody there, whether they worked there or whether they were other homeless people. But it was grinding on me that I can't have any time to myself and sit in my own place. Then I'm at my best friend's house, surrounded by his family and him, and it was great, but also just grinding and grinding and grinding. So even though I moved into that, even when I moved into that tool shed, there were people there all the time. There were, you know, other people that lived in the main house, and the landlord was always there, and it was just, it never felt comfortable. I never felt like I could just go out and sit in the yard without like other people being around. And just finally just got to the point where I need to be by myself. And this place is pretty good for that. I don't really feel like going out and sitting outside here. I don't feel like pulling up. I don't really feel like being out in the yard here. But it's nice. I feel like I'm by myself in this place, and I need that. But a lot of people get up to their, 40, 50 years old. You don't want to be around anybody anymore. You've finally gotten sick and tired of people. So now, if I do want to make friends, where do I go? I've got people at the bakery that I like, but it's like there's one woman who's my age. There's a couple people my age that work there. The owner is, in that same range. So there's a group of us old folks there. I shouldn't say old when you're talking about women, but I'll say I'm old. And the girls, the 20-year-old girls, have no problem calling me an old man. But that's the thing. It's like, am I going to hang out with a bunch of 18 to 20-year-old girls on the week? I mean, it may not be the worst thing in the world, but I mean, am I really, they're looking at me like, hey, here's an old guy who can go get us beer. No thanks. I don't need that on federal probation. Going back to jail for buying beer for little girls. No. But I don't know, maybe a different job, maybe, I don't know. I gotta figure out something. I gotta meet some people here, but I want to be by myself, and I don't want to be, I'm kind of antisocial right now. But at the same time, it's like, I don't want to be completely detached from everything. So I don't really know what to do. You might see me going like this. Fruit flies got in here. I I had lemon water. I threw my lemon peels in the garbage can. Boom, magically, fruit flies. They love that. So I had to take out my last garbage bag when it was half full. Wasted trash bags when you're on a budget. But I just picked up. So yesterday I went to the bank. I dropped off a check into my checking account, and I got paid by the bakery today. So it's Amazon Day. Booyah. It's Amazon Christmas, and I had stuff queued up already. But I really wanted to get curtains for the bedroom, but they're so freaking expensive. The curtain rods that I had queued up, they became unavailable because they're sold out. So I found another set, but it's like 40, 50. The curtains and curtain rods, it's going to be like $60. And it's not like horribly expensive, but along with that, I need an iron and an ironing board. So there's $70 there. So $130 to get curtains. And now I could just get the curtains and the curtain rods and go ghetto and have wrinkled curtains for a while and then get an iron and an ironing board. Or I could get one of those handheld steamers, but those cost a lot of money too. So it just, to have curtains in my damn bedroom is like, for what it cost, I'm like, that was pretty much my whole budget. My budget was get curtains and an iron and an ironing board. And when you're a guy, like, ooh, that's exciting. You know what I mean? So that was my budget though. I'm like, I can't really spend more than that. And there's other things that I need to do here that I feel like are driving me more crazy than not having curtains, which is driving me a little bit crazy. People keep giving me suggestions. I might just fucking take tacks and stick t-shirts up but I'm not that ghetto. It'll happen, it's just when. But an ironing board, the cheapest ones are $50. I'm like, for an ironing board, $50, I guess, I don't know, it just seems too much. An iron, the iron isn't expensive. And curtains, man. But even the curtains are only $18, $19 for each window. So I mean, even that, it's just everything adds up. So I might just get curtains and a curtain rod, and then a few weeks later get an iron and an ironing board and just iron them. I don't know, but not this week because things were just too tight this week. And Amazon was having their Prime Day sale, and a bunch of stuff on my list of things that I'm trying to get are on Amazon Prime Day. So some of these things were like 30-40% off. One of the things I think was almost 50% off. So I'm like, may as well get these things while the getting's good and save a few bucks, cross off some things, whatever. So that's typically what I do. On the days I get paid, I go to my list and I'm like, okay, what can I do to improve the home? What can I do to, what do I need? And I got a big, gigantic list of things and groceries. I gotta get groceries today. And I'm gonna do a real, solid grocery order today. And then that's it. That's it until I get paid again. I gotta put out an invoice today. There was an app called FreshBooks that I was using to do invoices, and it's way too expensive. So I canceled that service to save a few bucks this week. And so now I have to make my own, because I wasn't using all the features and the accounting tools and all that stuff that it has. All I was doing, I was using it to make invoices and proposals. I can do that in Adobe InDesign easily, but I have to make a template now. And it's the first time I make an invoice, it's going to take me a minute. It won't be ridiculously bad, but from there, I should be able to just knock them out. Next time I have to make an invoice, it won't take long. So I have to do that today. just a lot of different random things. So I got fruit fly traps because I got fruit fly traps, and because these damn things you can't, unless they land on the wall where I can get them with a fly swatter or something like that, they're just fly around. They fly right in front of your face and you can't do anything about it. You can't get them. So I got the fruit fly traps. They were on Amazon Prime Day, 50% off for the taro fruit fly traps, and you get 4. I only need like 1 at a time. So that's like 180 days worth of fruit fly damage. I'll just put them, I've got a couple of places. Well, I've got one, I'm going to put them in a window near the garbage can so that they get attracted to it and just, that's it. And then I got a electric fly swatter, one of those tennis racket fly swatter things. And it has a stand, and you can clip it, you put it in the stand, and it just stays on, and it becomes an indoor bug zapper. So I'm going to put that next to the fruit fly trap in the front window of the house. And that way at night, there'll be some light coming from that thing. It'll glow at night. But that's the thing, when all the lights are out, it'll attract. Now, I may be trying to sleep and I'll hear pop, pop. I don't know how loud it's going to be when they do hit it, but that's gonna take that fruit fly problem and kill it. So I needed to do that. That was on Amazon Prime. That was on sale. So I'm dealing with fruit flies. I wanted to deal more with the other bugs, but the fruit flies are the thing that's driving me nuts this week. So I'm gonna get those out of the way. They're done. We're putting those to bed, and then next time I get paid, I'll take the next step. But this house, I'm gonna make this house like bug proof. By the time I move out of here, an insect will not be able to survive setting foot in this place because all these fruit flies pissing me off. The last time they came in here, I took out the trash and they vanished, and I didn't see another one for a week. Now they're just kind of like, I don't know what they're eating. I don't know. I think they just came in because there was lemon peels in the trash can, and now they're just like, they think the getting's good, but they're about to find out. In fact, the bug stuff is supposed to be here today. I ordered it today and it's supposed to come today. We'll see if that happens. I got a cheese grater. Just a basic $10 cheese grater. I think that was on Amazon Prime Day on sale. So I don't have to buy shredded cheese anymore. I can just buy cheese by the block, and it's cheaper that way. I can shred it myself. It'll stay fresher. I'll shred my own cheese. And it's a 4-sided cheese slicer with a container at the bottom to catch all of it, which is kind of cool. But it also has the slicer on the side, so I can, when I eat cheese and crackers a lot for a snack. Like when I come home from bakery day, dinner is usually cheese and crackers with some sort of meat, some sort of lunch meat cut up, and cheese and crackers. So now I can get different kinds of cheese and cut it and shred it myself. I didn't have a freaking cheese slicer or a grater. So I got the cheapest one, and it'll do the job just fine. I got a pedestal fan. A fan, because I have to do laundry today, and I'm looking around and I'm like, crap. I hate having to do laundry, especially when it takes all day for the clothes to dry. So now I'm gonna have a fan blowing air on the clothes. The clothes will probably dry in less than half of the time that they've been drying. So, and secondly, the bedroom, this room, the kitchen here, you see I'm wearing a sweater. It's because this mini split, even though there's an open doorway between this room and the next room, And there's a cutout in the ceiling so that air can travel that way as well, but cold air sinks, hot air rises. There could be a 10 to 15 different degree difference between this room and the next room, especially when the sun is out. Huge difference in temperature. So a pedestal fan will allow me to direct airflow into the next room and kind of balance out the temperature and bring some of that cool air into the other room. And so that, like, because there are days where I got to wear a sweater in this room and in the other room feels like a sauna. And so that'll help. And the bathroom's even worse. The bathroom is super hot, but that's okay. It doesn't bother me. But just a fan has got multiple uses here. The main one was to dry my clothes. I got to do laundry today. The fan's not going to be here before I start my laundry and start hanging up stuff. But when the fan arrives, if there's any laundry that still hasn't dried, boom, I'm going to be on it. And then at night, I can have the fan in the bedroom and whatnot. And so that was a good thing. I picked up a thing to go on my handlebars for my Silver Bullet bicycle. So instead of buying a speedometer or buying any kind of thing to track my speed, like a phone mount, I was gonna put a phone mount on it, but I'm like, I want to keep that bike clean, and I don't want to cover that bicycle with all kinds of accessories like the Red Rocket has, heavy stuff. I just want to keep that bike light and clean. So I got this rubber thing that goes around the handlebars, and I have a GPS from Garmin, a wristwatch mounted GPS. It's a black and white screen, but I have two of these things. And so an older one and a newer one. The older one's got some glitches because I mistakenly went swimming with it and forgot that it was on my wrist until it was too late. But it still works. It's just the screen's a little bit messed up. And I also have another one of those that's way better. Two AAA batteries will give you 7 days. And so I'm going to use that as my bicycle speedometer. So it'll tell me, it'll track my GPS obviously, but it's also Bluetooth enabled, and it works with the Garmin app. So I can save my data from it. And so what it does is it'll give me my speed, my average speed, all the different things that I want. It has a compass, tells you what direction you're going, and then you can preload. Like I could preload directions to go somewhere onto the thing, and then I can follow it, or like there's just all kinds of things you can do with this thing. And so I'm going to use that mounted on my handlebar for that bicycle as my speedometer, my all-around, cycling computer. Because I already have the thing. I'm not using it. It's in a box. And so for $10, I can get a mount for my handlebars and just use that. That's the cheapest way to put a speedometer on that bike so I can see how fast I'm going on any given day. I got a set of really thin wrenches, 5.5 millimeter all the way up to 27 millimeter in a single set. The only missing sizes between 5.5 and 27 are a 6 and 25 and 26. Everything else in between is covered. That was on Amazon Prime for it was like $25 for this wrench set when it's normally $35-40. So I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. I got more coffee filters for making cold brew. That's one thing. I woke up this morning and I'm like, crap, I'm running out of coffee at the wrong day of the week. I should have put more in last night, but when I got off the live stream from YouTube, it totally wasn't even on my mind until I woke up this morning and I'm like, I need to make coffee. Problem is, I can't make coffee today because I won't be able to do the filtering, and I won't be able to do the second step tomorrow because I will be going to the bakery tomorrow, and when I get home from the bakery, I'm not going to feel like taking half an hour to do the second step for the cold brew process. And so I'm going to have to do the first step of the cold brew process Saturday night, which sucks, tomorrow night, and then do the second step on Sunday. I'm probably skipping church because I've got to do bicycle maintenance is catching up to me, and it needs to be done. And the last time I did bike maintenance day, it was 4 hours worth of bicycle maintenance. If I go to church, that's like most of my day cut right out of the middle. And I also need to recover and relax on Sunday so I can do this bicycle ride to the bakery again on Monday. So I'm just gonna skip it. I already know. I'm gonna do the bicycle maintenance tomorrow, and that's probably it. Do the coffee, bicycle maintenance. That'll pretty much do me in. The TV I bought. Watching the Tour de France, it's been pretty stable. But when I watch Star Wars on and some of the other apps and some of the other videos, the TV the Tour de France, the biggest problem with this TV, it's one of these smart TVs, and it's fucking dumb. It's horrible. The software is absolutely atrocious. And so what happens is it constantly drops the internet connection. The router is 8 feet away from the TV and nothing else but this is like when I look up this TV, it's just, Reddit and other forums, it's just blasted all across the internet as being a horrible software in this TV, and the Wi-Fi constantly disconnects. And there's videos out there that show when the Wi-Fi disconnects and then you can't reconnect it without restarting the TV. Sometimes you can go and change the time zone on the clock and then go back to your time zone, and that fixes the Wi-Fi. It's just goofy. So the Amazon, I knew for Prime Day, Amazon always has their Fire Sticks and Fire TV stuff ridiculously cheap. So it was $14 for an Amazon Fire Stick. Got it. They're normally like $35. It was $14. I'm like, throw it on the list, because I can plug that thing into the side of this TV and that'll fix all my problems. Because the Fire Stick, out of all the smart TV stuff, Roku is pretty good, but I had a Roku I had one of the original Roku devices a long time ago, and it was awesome. But every time Roku puts out more stuff, the quality goes down and down and down. It doesn't get better, it gets worse. But the Amazon Fire Sticks are great. I've had more than one. I've used many of them. The Fire TV stick is freaking awesome. They're great. They're compact. It's just it's like a USB plug. You can just into the side of your TV, you're good to go. They work awesome. They work great. They do glitch. I mean, every single one of these kinds of things is going to glitch out once in a while. But when I'm watching that TV, it's a guarantee that it's going to drop the Wi-Fi connection at some point while I'm watching it. Guaranteed. In fact, sometimes it might do it I might be watching a 20-minute episode of a Star Wars show, and I may have to reboot the TV 3 times every 8 minutes. Doesn't do that all the time, but when a Fire Stick is going to solve the problem, because it's going to bypass the software on the TV, and now the TV is just showing me what's on the HDMI port, and I'm not using any of the apps on the TV itself, I won't have any issues. Hopefully. So for $14 to fix that problem, I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then the last thing I did was get I was talking about I bought a UPS, a uninterruptible power supply, on Facebook Marketplace, and I'm a little bit irritated because the person who sold it put up a video where she unplugged it from the wall and it still had power, and she plugged a fan into it and it ran the fan, and she did, but this thing was old. I did my homework before I went and bought this thing, but I charged it overnight by plugging it into the wall, and as soon as I unplugged it from the wall, the power light went out, which means the battery inside of it is completely dead. But I knew that this thing was old and that the battery is probably hosed. I was going to do a benchmark test by plugging it into my TV this morning and just plugging the TV into the UPC without it being plugged into the wall and see how long it would power my TV before the battery died. It turns out the battery's just dead. As soon as you unplug it from the wall, it just... But the nice thing about these power supplies is that the replacement batteries aren't expensive. So $25 on Amazon. I got a 9 amp hour battery to replace the 7 amp hour battery that's in it. And there's a battery cover on the device. You just pop it off. You take the old battery out, unclip the clips, clip the new battery on, put it in, shut the thing, you're good to go. It should have a charge right off the bat. So I ordered it. For $50, I'll have an uninterruptible power supply with a brand new battery, and the capacity should be strong enough for me to use my MacBook and connected hard drives for anywhere from 1 to 3 hours if a power outage hits. And if I get a better UPS system down the road that can run my MacBook and hard drives for 2 to 5 hours, in the event of a power outage, I can take the one I've just got, plug it into my T-Mobile hotspot router, and in the event of an extended power outage, I could conceivably have good internet and be able to sit in front of my computer and work for possibly up to 5 hours, 5 hours, let's say. And that's not bad. I'm thinking in terms of some of the thunderstorms we've had lately. At the tool shed, when I lived in that tool shed, that neighborhood, the power went out in that neighborhood all the time. Like at least once a week, the power would go out in that neighborhood. One time it was out for like 2 hours. I just sat in the dark, scrolling around on my phone. I plugged a battery pack into my phone, and I just rode it out. Had to listen to the neighbor's generator for 2 hours in the background. Here, I don't know, man. This neighborhood is so much better. There hasn't been a power outage yet in this neighborhood since I moved in here. No matter how bad the thunderstorms get, the only time I lost power to the unit here is when the landlord disconnected it while they were wiring up a new place that they're remodeling. They've been putting these small houses on this property, and they all share the same power from the pole. And so they had to shut it off a few times in a day. Now that's kind of like what triggered me to want to get one of these UPSs, but Facebook Marketplace must have heard me talking about losing power and thunderstorms, and they said, oh, you might be interested in this. And it happened, the woman who was selling it, it was right next door to the bank. Like it was it was 2 miles away from the bank that I had to go to yesterday, and it was on my way home. So my total bike ride was the same number of miles as it would have been if I had just gone to the bank and back. Maybe an extra mile. It was 16 miles total. I think the last time I went to the bank and back, it was pretty much in the same realm of mileage. So it worked out. So I was able to do all of that to improve my living situation here. And that was pretty much the same budget as getting curtains. Would have been curtains. I would have had an iron and an ironing board, but I honestly don't know when I'm ever going to need to iron a shirt right now, because I'm just not, I don't know. So it's kind of like, I don't know. It just seemed like I could do more with my budget this week than that. So yeah, okay, you just listened to me talk about a bunch of nonsense. Probably bored to death. But this is the kind of stuff you have to do when you're starting life from zero. You know, so many of you listening, you've been living in if you're my age, you've been living in a home, or you've had enough time to get the basic necessities like a cheese grater in your kitchen. By the time you're 49 years old, you probably have one or two of you probably shred cheese and slice cheese. I had a knife. I have two sharp knives, and a knife. I had to get a knife sharpener. I had to get a kitchen knife, but I didn't get a block of knives. I got one knife, chef knife. That's all I need. I don't really. If I got a butcher's block full of knives, I would only use like one or two of those knives. Steak knives for eating steak, like those would be useful. But when am I eating steak? I don't know when that's going to happen, so it's all good. Let's see here. So I'm watching the Tour de France. I'm watching stage 5 now, but today is stage 7, I believe. Yeah, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yes, today is stage 7, and I'm watching stage 5. I started watching stage 5 last night. So I'm falling just as far behind on the Tour de France as everything else. I'm so far behind in the Tour de France, I'm sitting in a recliner and I'm not even caught up on TV, let alone being able to keep up on a bike. These time trialers, they're going crazy. 53 miles an hour. They're doing a 20-mile time trial. Right now, the leader that I know of has done it in 37 minutes, something like 53 kilometers an hour, which is dude, just do it. 32 average speed of 33 miles an hour. They were saying that the one guy who is in the lead right now was hitting speeds of 55 miles an hour, where the course had a slight downhill grade. That's pretty fast. 37 minutes to go. So at 33 miles per hour, come on, dude. Google can do this. 33 miles per hour, 25 miles. I should have just asked Grok. Dude, come on. 25 miles, calculate it. About, that's not even right. Okay, no, that is right. So at the speed that they go on the time trial, and it's relatively flat, the elevation change on the 20-mile time trial that they're doing today is about the same elevation change that I go through on my 25-mile ride to the bakery. they would do one of these Tour de France riders, not even the winner of the stage, would be able to do they would be able to get to the bakery in 45 minutes. It takes me an hour and 40 minutes on my bike with my setup. Granted, that these guys are on the time trial bicycles. I couldn't even imagine what those cost. They got special helmets, special clothes, special. I talked about the cost of the Tour de France bikes. That's just the regular bikes that they ride on the day to day. The time trial bicycles cost way more. They have way more going on. Those bicycles are specially made just for that stage. Or there's more than one time trial, I'm sure, but the time trial bicycle is its own thing. But they're doing my bakery blitz in 45 minutes each way. Takes me an hour and 40 minutes going. I got a ways to go. I don't even think I could identify as a woman and go win the women's gold medal at the Olympics. The only way I would even have a chance is to identify as handicapped and go compete in the Special Olympics. That's the only way I could get a medal. So I'm not even, racing's just that's just not me anymore. I'm just riding my bike because it's fun and because I have to. But it is nice to have. My traveling range when I was homeless in Jamestown was something like a 6-mile radius from the homeless shelter. That was about 10 miles at the max. And I don't think the longest walk, no, that's not even true. I'm saying the longest walks that I did were about 12 miles. 6 miles one direction, 6 miles back. That was my radius. That was about as far as I could go in a day. And now, 6 miles each way, that's like 2 hours, that's around 2 hours of walking each way. So that's 4 hours walking to go 12 miles. Carrying whatever I had to carry and whatever else. But that was it. You put a pin on the map at the homeless shelter, go out 6 miles, make a circle, and that was my travel. That was how far I could go. Now, I can put a pin on the map and I can put it out 40 miles and I can make a circle, and that's about how far I can travel. Let's call it going 40 miles out and 40 miles back on my bicycle will wear me out about the same amount as walking 6 miles and walking 6 miles back. So that's a huge improvement in mobility and the ability to get around and do things and get places. And you can't walk to a job that's 25 miles each way. How long would that take? 25 divided by 3. That would take 8.5 hours each way to walk. That way you wouldn't even be able to. Well, you could. I mean, if I left at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, no. Midnight, 1. If I left at 11:30 at night to walk, I could make it to my job by 8:30 in the morning when I have to clock in, and I'd probably have enough time to eat breakfast. And then when I get done at 4:30, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, I'd be back at 1 in the morning. So I'd be gone from 11 o'clock Friday night, and I'd be back at 1 in the morning on Sunday if I had to walk that. Plus, I mean, how exhausted are you going to be after walking 50 miles and working 8 hours at a bakery? Pretty freaking tired. But when I'm on a bicycle, it's okay. It's not, it's like a hard workout. It's not impossible. It's not ridiculous. I mean, anybody can ride 25 miles on a bicycle. 10 miles an hour on a bicycle, anybody can go that fast. It's not that hard. 10 miles an hour, you can go 25 miles in 2.5 hours. Like if you're just out for fun, get on a bicycle, go down the bike path, go someplace flat. 10 miles an hour is easy. Most people who get into bicycling and don't really dig it, it's because they feel that it's not the cycling, it's not the bicycling, it's not the distance, it's how uncomfortable they get with the bike seat up in their crotch. And so there's different ways to deal with that too. Bicycle shorts are your best bet, and you got to find a seat that's comfortable, that supports your sit bones. The wider, the big padded wide seat that people think they need to get, that makes the situation worse, because the soreness doesn't come from padding or lack of padding on the seat. The soreness comes from your clothing rubbing up against your skin over and over and over and over and over again for hours on end. So you gotta wear something down there that isn't going to destroy your skin. And basically you're getting a rug burn in your crotch as you ride a bicycle. It's not the padding. The padding can make a difference. On my Red Rocket, I've got a really skinny seat, but it's got a real thick gel coat covering on it, and it's very comfortable for a long day of riding. I can sit on that thing. The seat that I used to have on that thing was rock hard, and it was for a long distance bike ride where you're on the bike for 12 to 14 hours. It would beat up the crotch pretty bad. This seat that I have on it now, I can sit on that thing for 14 hours and it's comfortable. It doesn't bother me at all. The one on the Specialized, the Silver Bullet, is a little more of a racing saddle. It has some padding. It's not ridiculously uncomfortable, but over 14 hours, there would be no way. I would take the Red Rocket every time because of the seat. That Red Rocket is set up for me to sit on that seat for 14 hours and be comfortable. The Silver Bullet would drive me crazy on a ride that long. The Silver Bullet's just, I'm setting that up and I'm keeping it set up as just a fast bike. Not necessarily a racing bike, but a bike. I'm going to keep it just very clean, very minimalistic. I'm not going to cover it with accessories and heavy stuff. It's just going to serve one purpose, and that's just to go fast. I might even switch the wheels because I feel like the front wheel on the Red Rocket is a little more aerodynamic than the one on the Silver Bullet. And I might just do a wheel swap this weekend and put the front wheel that I think might be faster on the Silver Bullet and see if it does make a difference. But it's very minimalistic. It's very, I don't know. I think it would look better with that wheel on it. But it would, I don't know, the hub, I may have to, that may motivate me to re-grease and redo the hubs and make the hubs as nice as I can. I think the wheel on the Specialized has a sealed cartridge bearing, so that might, I don't know, they're kind of like neck and neck in terms of which wheel is better. But I would like the fastest wheel to be on the fastest bike. So I don't know. I feel, and then the other wheel has more strength. I don't know. That's one of the things I'm thinking about maybe doing this weekend, bike maintenance day. But I don't know. It's just so many different things to do right now. I'm at 2,720.1 miles so far this year, and that's 2,658 on the bicycle, and that's over 158 bike rides, and I've walked 60 miles on foot, and that's 28 different times walking. not walking anywhere near as much as last year, because anything more than a mile, I'll hop on the bike and go. 2 miles would be about it for a walk. 2 miles each direction. If it's farther than that, why walk? 3 miles takes an hour to walk, takes 5 minutes to bike. It's very quick. Almost got another fruit fly in my sights. But I don't know. I'm just kind of like trying to figure out like what to do to get past this fitness rut where I'm feeling worn out all the time. And I don't know. I mean, this is like, we'll see how it goes. I'm just gonna, I got a lot of stuff to get done today, so I'm gonna let y'all go. And but the live streams are Thursdays at 6 p.m. Central Time, and I'll go from 6 to 8. The more people that show up, the merrier. And we'll just go from there. I'm gonna say peace out for now, though.